I wanted to make a quick video for you so that you would know how to assemble everything. When you get it all unpacked, this is the very top of it, upside down. So the legs install into this, the pegs go into these, and then you flip the whole thing over. This is kind of a middle shelf that holds all the legs together. It can go either way. Just pick whichever side you want up. Truth is, once I had these assembled, I found I never looked at this shelf ever again to notice which way was up or down. So, these are the legs for the table. And I think the easiest way to do this is to, I need to not have my body in the way, is to take them and just put them together. Some of them are more of a snug fit than others, because when I added varnish to this thing, it created more dimension in some of them, but they all fit. And they're all really pretty interchangeable. Let me see. Okay, maybe I shouldn't have started with that angle. Start with this angle, yeah. So, in order for this to work, they all have to fit nice and snug. So these have to go up into where the wood meets the wood. Like I said, some of them are more snug than others and need a little coaxing, but they'll all go. And then once you've got all of these pieces together, this whole piece can be just kind of dropped down into there, into these. This is also something of a snug fit, but it fits, and you should find, here, let me take this off of the stand. You should find that these holes line up to where the pegs can go through them, like that. Put this back where it was. And then the large pegs, these long ones, are the ones that you use for that. And you'll see with each one of these that there's a, let me look through the camera, that there's kind of a thicker and a thinner part. The thinner part goes in first and just goes through. Am I doing this the right way? Yeah, I think so. It is important to get these things lined up pretty well. Huh, that doesn't seem to want to go through. Okay. Okay, this is interesting. Yeah, it wasn't down all the way. That's why it didn't want to go through. There you go. So, that's important to know. Make sure all the parts are fitting snug, that these legs go all the way to the bottom of the tabletop. And then with these, you can just push them through, or you could use a little, like I have a rubber mallet, but you could use any kind of hammer if you just felt like tapping these in a little bit more deeply. I'm not going to assemble them real tight right now because I want them to be easy to take out. And then I'll do the same thing with these other sides. Put those in there and then push them through just a little bit. And you can either push them through until they're tight by hand, or you can tap them through so that they all stick out just a little bit, and then turn this over. And there you have it. I'm trying to be gentle with it so I don't scrape it up. But that's how that installs. It's not difficult. And now I will show you how to do the stools. One thing that I should add before I disassemble this is these things can all be popped out. Let me see, I need to go ahead and get my mallet. These things can be popped out with like a hammer, or you can use some of the other pegs to get in there and kind of just tap them out. Depends on how hard you've put them in. And the stools assemble with these smaller pegs that are also tapered. So there's a side which is clearly the skinnier side which goes in first. These are pretty simple. This is the bottom. Once again, this is upside down. Now these legs will only go in one way correctly. They need to come snug against that line there. And they're kind of angled on the top to where they will only go in correctly one way. If you try to do it the wrong way, like the way I'm doing now, you'll find that you can't do it. So there's only one way it'll fit properly. And likewise, these also need to come, some are more snug than others. That's interesting. So yeah, I'm finding, I try to make them as consistent as I can from one to another. But when I finish them, the varnish ends up making some parts slightly larger. So what happens with these, there's that hole there, and then the peg, the skinny part goes through there. And these I pretty much just do by hand. Although they can also be tapped in a little bit depending upon how far in you want them to go. But the friction really holds them well. I've not found that these tend to come out really. This one goes in like that. And then you squeeze that in. I would go ahead and tap it in with a little hammer. And then there you go. Turn it over. Oops, that was on top of the other thing. This is quick enough and easy enough to where I'll go ahead and just do both of them. And it's interesting, these can be disassembled later to pack them again or move them if you wanted to. Although I find personally that I never find myself wanting to reassemble things like this. I always just leave them as they are. And that one had more varnish on it, I think. There you go. And it doesn't matter which leg you apply to which one or which peg, they're all designed to be interchangeable.